So I'd like to welcome Blair Salzman. Hello.
Hi.
Here to talk about roguelikes and neurodiversity.
hmm All right. Like Alexi said, I'm Hannah Blair Salzman. Just call me Blair, and I'm here to talk about roguelikes, neurodiversity, and mental illness. So maybe you're wondering, who am I? Well, I'm an anthropologist. I have my Bachelor's of Arts in Cultural Anthropology from UT Austin, and I'm looking to further my career in the field right now. I'm also a writer, primarily of fiction, but I do occasionally do like academic papers and stuff. And I'm a video game enjoyer, which I sure hope I would be since I'm giving a talk about video games. I speak English, Mandarin, Chinese, Spanish, and a little bit of French. Been teaching myself some of that lately yeah. And also, I am neurodiverse. Now, perhaps, could you still hear me?
Yes, we can still hear you. We seem to have lost the
Okay.
video feed, but we can hear you
All right.
okay.
Yeah, it's been acting a bit wonky right now. Okay,
Sure.
I'll try to figure that out. But while I'm doing that, maybe you're wondering what neurodiversity is. It is unfortunately not a cool sci-fi power. It's not anything in cyberpunk like a chip you can get implanted in your brain. It's a it's an umbrella of various conditions that means your brain works differently than the average population, basically. There's a large variety of them, like bipolarity, dyspraxia, which is when you struggle with like bodily coordination and spatial recognition and things like this. That dyscalculia, when you struggle with math, dyslexia with reading, and there's autism and ADHD and plenty more. All right, the most commonly talked about ones are autism and ADHD, and to a lesser extent, dyslexia. But I just wanted to bring some of the others up because, a lot of the times they just don't get talked about. Okay, they're good. All that much, partially because they're not quite as common, but I still think they ought to be brought up. And I can't speak for every single person who's neurodiverse or neurodivergent, whichever you prefer. And different people have different needs and concerns like accessibility issues and so on. So I just wanted to bring that up before continuing. All right, so maybe you're wondering, what does this have to do with roguelikes? Oh, well, interesting thing about that. I got into roguelikes when I was first in college. Specifically, the big three I was into were Spelunky, The Binding of Isaac, and Faster Than Light. Oh, and some of the images are sort of transparent. I don't know why I wasn't able to fix it, so we're just going to pretend that's not a problem right now. All right, and during that time, my freshman year of college and the few years after I graduated, I'd been struggling with particularly bad mental health issues. I couldn't really do much of anything, even things I enjoyed, like a lot of video games. And this was also around the time when people really started pushing for games to be bigger and like open world sandboxes and everything, as if that automatically makes a game better when it doesn't necessarily. Like, I like some big open world games, but you have to do it right. And so, people are going, oh, this game is 300 hours long. And me, with my little fried brain and my attention span, was just like, I can't do that. Because, like, I'm obsessed with finishing things, partially because I was punished for that as a kid, for struggling to finish with things. And so, yeah. And so I really got into roguelikes instead, and I started wondering, okay, why is this holding my attention so well when those big games with like 300 or 500 hours of play don't? Especially when I'm sometimes putting more hours into these roguelikes than I would have put into the big games for like finishing the whole campaign. And so I started thinking about that and talking to my friends about that and some acquaintances, and I came up with some things. But to give you like a better understanding of it, like we all know, roguelikes, RNG, procedural generation, permadeath, etc. I'm going to give some other examples that use some similar mechanics to like give you a better scope of what's going on and to just give you more ideas. Like, they may not seem related, but you'll See you soon. All right, so there's Shovel Knight. If you've been paying any attention to the indie video game scene in the past decade or so, you probably have at least a vague idea what Shovel Knight is. It's a platformer, and it's really great. This is coming from someone who usually doesn't like platformers, so I think it deserves all the attention it gets. But it's for the most part, a pretty linear game, except until you get to the last level where you come upon all of the bosses you'd beaten beforehand, like having dinner together, and they're all kind of still mad that you kicked their butts, so they all decide they're going to have to beat you up anyway. So usually boss rushes also get me because you go for like 10 or 15, then you die and you have to start over, and it's the exact same thing. But this one didn't bother me, and I realized it was because one tiny little detail. It's because there's no set order to which one you fight first or next, and so on. It changes every time. So even if I'd beaten most of them and I died on the last one, it didn't frustrate me all that much. And so, that came to the mind, the randomness of it helps me. And Shovel Knight Dig actually came out recently, which is a roguelike. I've played a bit of it. It's pretty good, but I was already busy with Cult of the Lamb. So I haven't been able to dig into Shovel Knight Dig too much just yet. But it's really good, and I'm looking forward to playing more. All right, next is Animal Crossing. If you don't know what that is, it's a life simulator where you're the only human in a village of animals, and you just kind of do whatever you want, whenever you want. You can even manipulate time with some consequences in the older games. All right, so yeah, basically there are so many things to do, and there are more and more with each new entry into the series. Interior decor, terraforming, custom designs. These are some of the ones I made. They took me so long to make. I'm very proud of them, but like as much effort as I put into these, you should see some of the crazy stuff people do. Just like go to an Animal Crossing custom designs subreddit and your mind will be blown. And so gosh, I almost forgot the last part. All right, so the thing about that is you can pick up tasks. You can do whatever you want, usually without any consequences. If you get bored of something, you can drop it. It'll be right there where you left it. And you usually don't get strong-armed into uncomfortable time commitments or doing things you don't feel like doing for too long. And so that's also a part of roguelikes, I think. And then there's Dynasty Warriors, which is a hack and slash series. It's based off of this Chinese novel called Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which is somewhat fictionalized. And it happened from roughly 184 to 280 Common Era. It depends on what historiography you use. That's the kind of thing history nerds like me argue over, so I'll spare you the boring details. It's spawned a lot of spin-offs, and I have a lot of feelings about that because they recycle a lot of material, and it just gets so tiresome after a long time. It feels like they're taking their fans for a ride, but it's still a very fun series, and I like it a lot, and it has impacted my life very positively for the most part. All right, so what's the gameplay like? Yeah, it's basically that. So it's a fighting game, a subgenre of that, but it's less structured. Like instead of it being one-on-one, it's you and your allies versus other people and their allies. In Dynasty Warriors case, there's usually like whole armies involved, and you have to defeat enemies of differing levels and fulfill conditions to obtain victory, usually defeat the enemy commander or protect these important people or something like that. If you're still kind of struggling what that might look like, some more common and popular similar hack and slash games are like Kingdom Hearts, God of War, Devil May Cry, and Bayonetta. Interesting ups and downs with that one in the past couple of weeks, huh? So the thing about Dynasty Warriors is that usually the battles take less than 30 minutes to complete, and if you die, well, that's a bummer, but it probably won't take you too long to restart and get back to where you were, or you can just load up an old save, but, whatever you want to do. Or if you get tired of that, there are, like, a ton of other characters with different play styles you can choose, or you can choose a different battle, or you can even fight on the opposite side of the same battle. And there's a lot of diversity, you have a lot of agency, and the Extreme Legends expansions often add new forms of gameplay. So there's a lot going on there. All right, so maybe you're wondering, so what? What does this have to do with everything? All right, so as I said before, with Shovel Knight, the boss rush, there's the randomness and the procedural generation kind of, which is, of course, the bread and butter of roguelikes. And then there's the ease of changing tasks or picking up new tasks if you're bored or you do want to do something else, like in Animal Crossing and Dynasty Warriors. And then there's the low time commitment of Dynasty Warriors and Animal Crossing also involved. And in the end, it's different for everyone, like I've said, but I've talked to a lot of people with similar conditions to me and similar mindsets. And when they say this, they agree that when I explain it to them, it's like all this adds up to less frustration because you're kind of tricking your brain into thinking you're not doing long, repetitive tasks when you still kind of are, just in smaller tidbits and in different ways. So, yes, I think that's part of why roguelikes are becoming so much more popular. They're like, video games are already popular with neurodivergent and neurodiverse people a lot because it engages your mind and your hands. But like even more so with roguelikes, I think, because if your brain is especially fried like that, is unless you get really hyper focused on a 300, 500-hour game, you're probably just going to be like, oh, I wish I could play this, but I can't. And that's why I think they're very important. So thank you to everyone who works on them. You have benefited us in a way you may not have imagined. Thank you so very much for coming to my talk. Thank you for listening. Thank you to everyone at Roguelike Celebration for letting me speak and organize all this. I'll be in the cleric room for breakout discussions, and you can find me on Twitter at HB Salzman. Also, I also have an obligatory picture of my dog, Quinn. Look at her. I love her so much. She's great. And thank you.
Thank you so much. And free dog picture. Very exciting. Yeah, no, that was really fantastic. I definitely found it really interesting. I think that the connections there resonate with my own experience of that way that, yeah, it's hard to sit down and feel like, oh man, I'm going to commit to like this long experience. I don't know if I can handle that, but it's so much more approachable to be like, oh, I'm just going to do a run and then I'll do another run. And in the end, I've done 20 hours, but
10 more minutes.
Yeah, it does really reduce that friction. And I think a lot of people in chat were, finding it very relatable. So.
Oh, cool. I'm glad it did that for you guys.
Yeah, I think that they're really solid insights. So, thank you so much. And yeah, so people can find you in the cleric room to discuss this further, and we will see if some version of Neurodiverse comes up as a badge, because that was another thing in chat of people thought that would be a good badge to be able to put in your profile. But cool. Neurodiverse is also just a good enough pun that I think we got.
That is great. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to take that for myself. Thank you.
Absolutely, you have earned it. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.